Hi, my name is Anish Ramachandran and I lead Billion Literates Foundation. I like to describe OBLF as a grassroots nonprofit that works to create better futures for underprivileged rural communities. Apart from education, we work in the space of public health, which is essentially to create access to basic healthcare services to remote rural populations. We work in the space of creating skilling and livelihood for women living in villages and communities that we run our programs in, and then we employ them in the programs that we run. And we also work with severely marginalized and poor communities, driving an all-round rehabilitation effort for these communities, which ensures that they have a better standard of life than what they were used to earlier.
Hi, my name is Sujata Sahu, and I'm the founder of 17,000 Feet Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to improving the quality of education for children living in remote mountain hamlets. Our aim is simple. No child should ever be denied the opportunity of quality education simply because of the geography they live in. 17,000 Feet Foundation works to improve schools and the quality of education for children living in very remote mountain hamlets. We do this by upgrading schools, bringing in quality learning resources, training teachers, and mobilizing parents and community members to contribute to the education of their children. We work closely with governments to bring in systemic reform in education and are today working across 350 remote government schools in Ladakh and Sikkim.
This is Ved Arya, founder Buddha Institute. Buddha Fellowship Program is an initiative to impact 5 million people in India. They will be lifted out of poverty by 1,000 Buddha Fellows. As an example, Kaushal Yadav has set up a value chain for 25,000 peanut farmers in Andhra Pradesh, and his turnover last year was $2 million. Preeti Singh is training 750 girls in Tier 2, Tier 3 towns of Uttar Pradesh, telling them to earn income by photography and blog writing, such gig economy skills in which she has trained them. Together, we have about 25 Buddha Fellows today, and we are present in half of India in about 10 states.
I'm Dr. Darshana Joshi, founder and CEO of VigyanShaala International. I am a first generation learner, daughter of a farmer and electrician couple from Uttarakhand who migrated to Delhi in search of better livelihood, and a scientist with a PhD from the University of Cambridge. Now, through our work at VigyanShaala, we are on a mission to facilitate 1 million such mentor-mentee partnerships for every aspiring, committed and talented girl across India, so that she can find a role model and a mentor she can truly look up to and create a path towards her dream career in STEM. Thank you.
Great videos. It was beautiful to hear your motivations and what you're trying to do. So let's start with you, Anish, if that's okay with you. You were talking about what it is that you're doing at the OBLF. So what motivated you to start, and how are you partnering with Jupiter 360 on that?
Sure. Thanks, Savi, and good morning, good evening to everybody on the call. 1 Billion Literates Foundation, OBLF for short, was started as a dream of one person to remove inequity in terms of access to education. Now, we've been in existence for a little over 12 years now, and over the years, we have evolved, our dreams have evolved as well. And I think it's probably fair to say that the dream that unites us as a foundation is really to try and ensure that privilege is not a gatekeeper when it comes to accessing basic rights like quality education, quality health, or respectable livelihoods, right? So that's really what drives us. That's the question that I think we ask ourselves each time when we are encountering problems. As far as working with Jupiter 360 is concerned, Savi, I think we've been talking with Vandana and working with the team for a little over a year now. And I would say two things. The first thing is just the level of self-confidence and assuredness that Vandana and her team gave us. For anyone of us over here who's been in the nonprofit space, especially as a grassroots nonprofit, funding is always a sword that hangs over your head. And Vandana and team came in and said that, hey, we got your back. You know what you need to do best. We are not going to come into dictating what you do. But what we are going to be able to do is tell your story in the most compelling manner possible to the people who care. And that's worked out really beautifully. I think what she's done is really give us agency and empower us. I think that's something that we are really enjoying.
Awesome. That's fantastic, Anish. So yeah, it is, in my 25 years of corporate career and working with startups and otherwise nonprofits, I've seen being able to communicate what you're after, what is that goal, is one of the critical things. And then identifying the best way to work through that is the other aspect of things. So thank you. So now, Sujata, you are also in the education space in the, rural, and then, here is 17,000 feet. So what is it? What is the burning desire that actually made you go to that and start it? And then what has been the working experience? Like, how have you been getting value out of the partnership that you're working with Jupiter 360 and mentors?
Yeah, thank you, Savi, and hi all. I think we all agree no child should ever be denied access to quality education. But what happens when that lack of access drives young parents to send their really, really young children, sometimes as young as 3, when it drives them to send them to very far away towns alone just so they can be enrolled in better schools? That is the problem that I faced when I went on a solo trek some 12 years ago into Ladakh. And I saw firsthand the desperation of very young parents who were leaving their young children, sometimes with the support of complete strangers. That's my burning desire. I believe that no child should ever be denied the opportunity to stay at home and have access to quality education. And this is largely the problem that's being faced in the Indian Himalayan region, a heavily under-resourced, poor infrastructure area with, I would say, on the whole, much less attention than the rest of India. And that's what 17,000 feet is trying to solve, to keep a child at home, give them access to quality education, and ensure that they don't migrate. Regards Jupiter 360. So I have known Vandana for a very long time, and we've been working very closely with Jupiter 360 for almost a year now. For the starters, I think what Jupiter 360 has understood very well is that nonprofit founders and nonprofit organizations, what they do well is on the ground. What they do well is design programs and execute them. And where we are under-resourced, just like we are helping under-resourced people, what Jupiter 360 does is builds our capacity, builds our resources so we can do what we want to do much better. They help us in our capacity, in our processes, systems, and like Anish said, simply the confidence that yes, you're not alone in this journey and there are people out there to help you. So very happy about that. Thank you, Jupiter.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I wouldn't want to send a 3-year child. I mean, I'm thinking about sending my son to college next year, and I'm like, wow, that's going to be a big separation anxiety. And talking about young children, no, that's a very noble mission. And I am so glad that this is actually happening, and you're creating a virtuous cycle with Jupiter 360, you from the 17,000 feet foundation, and then the Himalayan communities. That's awesome. So Darshana, so tell us about your desire in founding this. You alluded to some of that, your background in the video, and then how do you plan to work with Jupiter 360 because you're just starting the relationship?
Thank you, Savi, for this question, and I'm really excited to share our journey with an illustrated panel as well as amazing audience here. So I came from a family where my parents didn't have the opportunity to finish even beyond high school, and they had to migrate from Uttarakhand to Delhi in search of better livelihood. Agriculture became unsustainable. There were no opportunities for them to either earn livelihood or send their children to school. And then we moved to a low-income neighborhood in Delhi, where I didn't have any immediate role models in science, but seeing Kalpana Chawla on the TV caught my imagination. And I was like, hey, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I was fortunate that I got an opportunity to be mentored by amazing Indian physicists, women physicists particularly, who were at the frontiers of science. And that changed my journey from a girl with limited means studying in a Delhi government school to a PhD at Cambridge. So for me, I was fortunate. Then I met my co-traveler and my partner Vijay, and both of us together started VigyanShaala as a volunteer group of scientists who wanted to bring science to Indian quality science to Indian classrooms, and thus was VigyanShaala was born. And we both together decided to walk this path to make sure that every aspiring, committed, and talented girl in any corner of India doesn't kill her dream because she doesn't have access to the right resources or guidance. And with this motivation, we started VigyanShaala. And we are a fairly new organization. We've been in existence for 3 years. We have had our share of teething challenges, and being scientists coming to the not-for-profit sector had its own challenges. And we are really fortunate that we have come under the wings of Jupiter 360 Foundation at this point, and we are being mentored by you, Savi, and Vandana. And the areas that you've been guiding us over the last few months have been our building our organization so that it stays beyond whether me and Vijay, or it creates the mark and creates the future scientists and innovators from the most marginalized and remotest corners of India. So we are very grateful and excited to be working with Jupiter 360 Foundation for not just our organizational development, but bringing the resources as well, and creating this sustainable global pipeline of mentors as well as resources that can enable us to reach 10,000 girls by December 23 and 100,000 girls by December 2025. So thank you.
That's fantastic. And I completely agree with you that young women need role models. And, I have been part of such mentorship in US, and many times I wondered what's happening in India. And Vandana, and when you talked about it, I was super excited that this is happening in India as well. And it's much needed to create that relationship with the role models. So Ved Arya, tell us about, the development entrepreneurship. You want to essentially create a groundswell and create almost, like thousands of them so that you can change the face of India. So what was this, dream that you had, and now how are you planning to partner with Jupiter 360 to essentially realize that dream?
Thank you, Savi. And I am so excited and interested to learn from others. What an interesting question. You may wonder, after 40 years of my inning in development sector, what is there for me to solve for? I could have easily retired and gone to sunset. Why I'm still here, and I'm very excited to be here. This is my third inning. First, I co-founded Pradhan after leaving TCS, inspired by Bavamte, and I set up Srijan. We uplifted 500,000 people there. And people are saying, why are you still at it? Why? And my son says, why are you working? You should just retire and go to the hills. And I did a trek recently in the Himalayas. And what is there for me to do? I think what is most exciting for me to see, two things. One, every Indian wants to be an entrepreneur, like we are hearing from VigyanShaala. Every Indian wants to be an entrepreneur. But what we want to see is that this Indian young entrepreneur not necessarily should be becoming Bill Gates. I mean, Bill Gates, good, is doing great, both in terms of philosophy and entrepreneurship. That is one exciting thing. We have evidence now that there are Indians who are entrepreneurs, who are for-profit entrepreneurs, but are impacting at the bottom of the pyramid. Number one. Number two, people like me who are turning 65, we want to do it collectively. The 100 people who are from my batches of IIT and IIM want to do it together. It's so interesting and exciting to see that we are together in building this ecosystem for young Indian development entrepreneurs, those who want to impact society. We can do it together. Why I still want to be mentored? The second question, because I think even after what we have done, 500,000 is not enough. And I think scaling is one thing I want to learn. This lofty spirited, young at heart Vandana I want to learn from and be mentored by. So what are the two things we are going to do? One problem of mentoring is not easily solved. Of the young entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs don't listen to old people like Ved Arya, so we want somebody to tell us how to put out that modus operandi of mentoring entrepreneurs and communicate this to the people. Second, we've been able to get a sponsorship for every Indian young entrepreneur I've brought, but we don't know how to pitch it to corporate. So there are two challenges, and I'm certainly going to be helped by Jupiter. Thank you very much for bringing us here.
That's fantastic. And you're absolutely right, Ved Arya. And, as I was telling that I've been mentoring the for-profit entrepreneurs, through an accelerator here. And it is an art in terms of how do we work with them so that it can be accelerated, because we all have the same goal. That's fabulous that you're actually trying to hit the bottom of the pyramid. Actually, all of you are trying to hit the bottom of the pyramid, in some or the other sense. So I want to switch gears and try to explore with you on, you all have audacious goals, and I have heard them and you already mentioned. So how are you feeling with the audacious goal being, the end of that road, and where are you and how you are, on an accelerated path or not? So maybe let me start with you, Sujata. So with the audacious goal you have, maybe what is that goal again? And then where are you in conjunction to that? And how are you thinking that you would get there?
So Savi, I'll say one thing. When I started 17,000 feet 10 years ago, and when I mentioned Ladakh, in that too, I meant about the most inaccessible, remote and under-resourced areas of Ladakh. At that time, I was told that's too audacious a goal. You're not going to be able to do it. So I'd like to think that I started with an audacious goal, but having now gone through this journey now for 10 plus years, realized one thing, that the problem in Ladakh is very similar to the ones in the rest of the Indian Himalayan region. And there are about 5 million plus children who are facing the same problem of not having access to quality education near their homes, and they're being forced to migrate. I want to make this a mainstream dialogue. I want everyone to talk about that child living 3 mountain passes away to an area which takes 3 days of a walk to reach. I want people to talk about areas which don't have internet connectivity. They don't have electricity. I want everyone, when you talk about access to education, I want everyone to talk about, one of my audacious goals is that, to bring it into a mainstream dialogue. Today, we work with about 75,000 children. I want to reach at least 500,000 children in the next 3 years. And that's quite audacious. And I'm quite positive that with Jupiter 360 giving us the boost of confidence, we just might be able to reach there.
That's fabulous. And you need super faster acceleration. So good luck with that. So Darshana, what's yours? I know that you're just starting, but still, what would you say are those big numbers that you want to get to after?
So thank you, Savi, for that question. Our audacious goal is to ensure that everybody who should have the opportunity to create a better world through science. And we want to create a thriving community of girls sitting in India, collaborating with girls sitting in America or Africa, and building the solutions of the future. Solutions that will not only impact their communities, but also will show way for a sustainable development that is rooted in their own community's knowledge. And they are bringing all of it together to the world. For instance, one of our mentees, she's studying in a remote college in Pithoragarh near the Nepal border. And she recently got a year-long internship with a London-based think tank, which is working on climate resilient agriculture. And this girl sitting there is working with scientists from Tanzania, Africa, and US, and bringing the challenges their community is facing in terms of the impact of climate change on hills agriculture to the world. And this is our dream, that there are millions of such dreams across India and across the globe, to be able to nurture them with the right mentorship, with the right resources, and giving them an opportunity to be matched with the right education that will be an enabler for their dreams. Thank you.
So you want to essentially create multipliers. So everyone you create multiplies your dream. Fabulous. Good luck. That's fantastic. So Vedji, you are mentioning the audacious goal of, pretty much reaching every single village. So what are the first couple of steps you are thinking in getting to that goal?
Thank you, Savi. And I want to define audacious goals in qualitative terms as well as in quantitative terms. As I mentioned earlier, mentoring is one of the most difficult things. You want to be a guru, but others may not want to get turned to you to be a guru. So qualitatively, we want to solve the problem of mentoring. And if this mentoring system can be solved, the ecosystem can be built, then I would like to influence Prime Minister Modi's startup system, because that is for the entire country. So and how do we do that? If we can have a system where every village of India can have a Buddha fellow. That means every village, all of us knows, has a Baniya shop. But why can't we have a Buddha fellow who actually also impacts poverty in that village? That means we need 6 lakh Buddha fellows by 2047. And we have already reached 25. We will reach 125 by 2025. So that is where our steps are. But it is qualitative terms that we want to impact the Buddha Fellows program.
That is amazing. Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And I think, we can start that strengthening of that program and the mentoring methodology as the first step. And that's the right first step. So all the very best. So last but not least, Anish, I know you have, the last year has been extremely productive and tremendous results. So maybe tell us a little bit about what is it that you have seen last year that you made progress and, you made impact on, and then how is that taking you towards that audacious goal you have?
Sure. So Savi, we are an organization, as you know, that's chosen to interpret scale a little differently, right? We have chosen to focus on one rural district of Karnataka with close to 1 million people. And within that district, we have chosen to go deep. We started with primary education as our key focus. And while that continues to remain a very important part of what we do, we have also very deliberately added on public health, specifically primary healthcare access for remote rural populations. We have chosen to focus on skilling women and bringing them back into the workforce. And we have chosen to focus on working with severely poor and marginalized communities. These were very deliberate decisions that we took. And like Jagdish very eloquently told me some months back, this was like the tip of the spear where, different elements come together, all in the cause of trying to create better. So that's the journey that we are on right now. And what our hope is that, over time, we will create better solutions and then port it over to other parts of India which share a similar context as us.
That's fabulous, Anish. What I love about is that you are picking the right adjacencies so that a sick child cannot go to school, and empowering women takes care of, pretty much the whole society. So that's a wonderful adjacencies. And now you want to create a nice plug and play package and then scale it. I love that they are very approach. So all the very best for that. Thank you very much, founders. This has been a great conversation, and I hope our audience have enjoyed getting to know about your dreams and how you are working to realize those dreams. So thank you very much again, and Vandana, back to you.